demonstration. 2025 New Year's Massacre in New Orleans. What they haven't told us. Now, before I get started with this demonstration, let me read my copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. What that means is that everything that you hear in this demonstration is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Now, sad news coming out of New Orleans. Prayers to the families. Let's just get right into this.
Fox continuing to follow the latest with that tragedy out of New Orleans, Louisiana. However, we did want to head over to Shelby Rose with our Fox 26 Houston team as this investigation is underway at the suspect's home right now. Good morning, Shelby. What can you tell us?
Good morning, Chrissy. Yes, this federal investigation has been going on for more than 15 hours now. All roads leading to what's believed to be the home of Shamsuddin Jabbar has been blocked off by authorities as the FBI says that they are leading this investigation, deploying multiple teams, which includes the SWAT team as well as bomb technicians. Now, what we know about Jabbar, it's limited at the moment. We're still gathering information, but in a video that he posted online about promoting his real estate business, he says that he is from Beaumont, Texas, which is a city east of Houston, but relocated to the Houston area where he currently lives. We also know that he is a veteran of our military, also has a little bit of a criminal background. That includes being arrested for theft in 2002 and driving without a license in 2005. Now, of course, the FBI is tight-lipped when it comes to what they're exactly doing at Jabbar's suspected home, but Jim Conway, a former supervisor of the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force, says it's all in the name of safety.
Leads beget leads. These investigations become exponential over a period of time. And what they have determined is where he lives and where he currently resides, vehicles he's associated with, and every aspect of his life is going to be scrubbed and investigated to make sure that they're covering any and all leads that could lead to anything else that would pose a danger to public safety in the United States or overseas.
And the FBI is also asking for the public's help, specifically looking to speak with anyone who may have had contact with Jabbar in the 72 hours leading up to the attack in New Orleans. So you can do so by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI. You can also submit a tip online. Christy?
All right, Shelby Rose with our Fox 26 Houston team. Thank you for your reporting. All right, and I actually do want to play out some 4-minute remarks from President Joe Biden. As we did hear yesterday, he commented on this attack in New Orleans. He also commented on that Tesla Cybertruck that blew up outside of President-elect Donald Trump's hotel in Las Vegas. I do want to head over there and play those out for you right now.
Do y'all think that this is all tied in together? A Tesla truck was blown up outside of one of Trump's buildings out there in Vegas. What is going on in America? Is this only the beginning? Is this only the beginning? Is this how the year 2025 is going to end up playing out? Are the American citizens under attack?
Good evening. I know I can speak for all Americans when I say our hearts are with the people of New Orleans after the despicable attack that occurred in the early morning hours. To all the families of those who are killed, to all those who are injured, to all the people of New Orleans who are grieving today, I want you to know I grieve with you. Our nation grieves with you. We're going to stand with you as you mourn and as you heal in the weeks to come. I want to thank our brave first responders and law enforcement personnel who stopped the attacker in his tracks before he could kill or injure even more people. And I want to thank you to everyone at the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, including the FBI, for working non-stop to investigate this heinous act. The FBI is leading the investigation to determine what happened, why it happened, whether there was any continuing threat to public safety. Here's what we know so far. The FBI has reported to me the killer was an American citizen, born in Texas. He served in the United States Army on active duty for many years.
Let's stop right there. Let's stop right there. The killer is an American citizen who spent time in the Army. Stop right there. It's a sad, sad day when our own American brothers is committing such terrorist acts. We really don't know who to trust.
He also served in the Army Reserve until a few years ago. The FBI also reported to me that mere hours before the attack, he posted videos on social media indicating that he was inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill. The ISIS flag was found in his vehicle, which he rented to conduct this attack. Possible explosives were found in the vehicle as well, and more explosives were found nearby.
Exactly what was he trying to do? I'll tell y'all what he was trying to do. I'll tell y'all what he started to do. He started a massacre. He started wiping out innocent citizens. And he was on his way of wiping out even more. That's what he was planning to do.
The situation is very fluid, and the investigation has a preliminary stage. And the fact is that right now, there you go. The law enforcement and intelligence community are continuing to look for any connections, associations, or co-conspirators. We have nothing additional to report at this time. The investigation is continuing to be active, and no one should jump to conclusions. I've directed my Attorney General, the FBI Director, the Secretary of Homeland Security, the head of the National Counter-Terrorism Center, and the intelligence community.
Let's stop right there. What does President Joe Biden means? Nobody should jump to conclusions. Nobody should jump. What is exactly is he talking about? Is they hiding something from us? What are your thoughts? Who helped? Who helped this coward pull off of this massacre? Who helped?
To work on this intensively until we have a full and complete information. And once we have that information, I will share that information as soon as we can confirm it. Additionally, we're tracking the explosion of a cyber truck outside the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. Law enforcement and the intelligence community are investigating this as well, including whether there's any possible connection with the attack in New Orleans. Thus far, there's nothing to report on that score at this time. Okay. I've directed my team to make sure every resource is made available to federal, state, and local law enforcement to complete the investigation in New Orleans quickly and to make sure there is no remaining threat to the American people. And we'll support the people of New Orleans as they begin the hard work of healing. New Orleans is a place unlike any other place in the world. It's a city full of charm and joy. So many people around the world love New Orleans because of its history, its culture, and above all, its people. So I know, while this person committed a terrible assault on the city, the spirit of our New Orleans will never, never, never be defeated. It always will shine forth. We've seen that time and time again throughout its history. And I know we'll see it again in the days and weeks ahead. May God bless the people of New Orleans. May God bless our police and our first responders. May God protect our troops, and we'll keep you fully contemporaneously informed. Thank you.
Again, those remarks yesterday from President Joe Biden commenting on these two instances here, both in New Orleans as well as Las Vegas. And we did hear officials say they do believe these are isolated incidents at this time. But I do want to pivot back to this story out of New Orleans after we are learning here that this driver of a pickup truck sped through a crowd of people that were gathered to celebrate this all happening in the French Quarter District in New Orleans on Bourbon Street. What we know now, 15 people dead, 30 injured. And we also do know that the FBI says the driver was 42-year-old Shasmoud Din Bahar Jabbar. He was a U.S. citizen and an Army veteran from Texas. The FBI.
I want y'all to take a look at this coward. This was a coward. I want y'all to take a good look at him. He spent time in the Army. How is it those that are meant to serve and protect us, how is it months later, years later, they end up taking the lives of many, many U.S. citizens? America, we have a problem. We have a big problem. And this is nothing new. This is nothing new. We have been going through this for as long as I can remember. American citizens terrorizing American citizens.
FBI is investigating the attack as an act of terrorism and said it does not believe that he acted alone. So I do want to bring in a friend of the show right now, Lieutenant Randy Sutton. He has been so gracious to join us here on Live Now yesterday throughout the night, breaking all of this down for us. Thank you for coming back. My question for you right now, what I just said, the FBI doesn't believe he acted alone. So what steps come next in determining who these other people were?
You can bet that there is a massive amount of intelligence being gathered from the surveillance videos that are all over the city. They did, from my understanding, they did locate, or when I say locate, they identified that there were 3 other individuals, I believe, 3 males and a female, that were seen with devices, dropping devices off in various parts of the French Quarter.
I want to stay right there. And I'm not going to spend too much time speaking on it. But how is it that the FBI, see, when it comes to these cases, when it comes to the criminal cases, they seem to be able to have evidence, right? They seem to be able to collect evidence on certain criminals. Other criminals, they seem to give them a pass, if y'all know what I mean. Salute Trelane, salute Miss Parker. Now, this is the FBI talking. Now, the FBI, salute Kirby Kai, the FBI, as you see, as you heard, they have surveillance. They able to see 3 to 4 other people with explosives, with devices, right? They see that. They're able to know that he didn't act alone. However, when it comes to the Shanquella Robinson case, right? When it comes to the Shanquella Robinson case, the FBI don't know nothing. The FBI, even though the FBI have video footage, but when it comes to the Shanquella Robinson case, FBI don't know nothing. FBI wants Sue Ann to talk to, she said, I went to the U.S. Embassy, and the U.S. Embassy said that if you want to know anything about the case, then you have to talk to those who she traveled to Mexico with. As I said before, the FBI, they know more than what they're telling us. Now, early on in this investigation, how is it that they are able to see other people with devices? This is early on in this case.
That's really disturbing. The fact that there are more people involved in this conspiracy to kill. What they're doing now is trying to identify these individuals. They'll do that with the video surveillance that they have, with boots on the ground, doing extensive witness interviews, trying to determine the identity. They'll also be utilizing any of the devices that were found on the search warrants
And that fast, they were able that fast to gather information on the suspect. Well, why wasn't they able to gather information on the Cabo Six when Miss Salamandra said that she gave the FBI over 400 text messages that was in Shanquilla's phone, and she said the FBI overlooked those messages. FBI, exactly what are y'all doing?
that are being done on the residence and whatever other property. You never know. You may have a storage unit, whatever they can identify belonging to this suspect. They will be trying to gather information as to his co-conspirators, and that's going to be a #1 priority of this investigation right now.
Another big question here, motive, right? We still don't have an answer to that. What we do know is Jabbar was having financial problems when separating from his ex-wife. But how is the FBI working now to figure out what exactly that motive was? And when do you think we can get some answers on that?
Well, they're scrubbing his social media. He did make posts on social media, which will be very reflective of what his mindset was. And I think they'll probably get a lot of information from that. Also from his devices, from reading materials that they'll obtain from his residence and from his devices to try and determine exactly what his motivation was. I don't think we need to be rocket scientists to figure out what the motivation was. You don't put a black ISIS flag on a vehicle and mow down innocent people unless you have a strong motivation, and you're demonstrating that motivation through the demonstration of the black flag of ISIS. This is pure evil, what we have just observed. We have a sick individual who was basically a loser in life from everything that I am ascertaining about him. And instead of putting his life together, he decides to take out the lives of other people who are enjoying their lives, enjoying their existence, and contributing to America. This was an attack on America.
And what I find to be so interesting, something that officials said in this press briefing just yesterday, is that this man went around the barriers that police had set up. They did have precautions in place. And with Mardi Gras just in about, 2 months here, what is the safety protocol going to look like? How can law enforcement move forward when really they were putting in precautions? They did have people there. How do they make this safer as the city looks to host Mardi Gras?
And one thing I will say, it's not a shot at law enforcement. I mean, law enforcement can only do but so much. So this is definitely not an attack, a shot at law enforcement. This coward seen a golden opportunity, and he took that golden opportunity to terrorize. Doesn't make a difference how many police, because what's going to happen now is they're going to beef up the police patrol at that crime area. Well, guess what? That suspect is no longer with us. So cowards like this, they'll just move on to other opportunities, other potential opportunities. They do this. They will not strike where police presence is there. Well, let me backtrack. Because the coward that tried to assassinate Donald Trump, they had heavy law enforcement there. So let me backtrack. But when you think of these kind of cases and you think of these cowards, we all feel the same way. If you cowards want to take somebody's lives, won't you go and take your own life? Because as you can see, they end up taking their own lives anyway, or they end up, being killed by law enforcement. So won't you just do us all a favor, take your life instead of taking innocent American citizens' lives with you? Just take your sorry ass life.
Yeah, they're going to be doing a complete security survey and determination of how to move forward with their hard blocking of these streets. They were in the midst of doing some major renovations when it came down to the security aspects, but they didn't finish the job. And now they're going to have to really look at it from a fresh perspective. Now that this experience has taken place, and determine if even what they had put into place, if it had been all working correctly, would it have been sufficient? So there's going to be a huge investigation into that, and then a determination of which will take place, I guarantee you, before Mardi Gras to put implement other security arrangements.
And sadly, we've seen this scenario play out before, right? Where a vehicle has been used as a weapon to carry out mass violence. Is this a challenge for law enforcement going forward to figure out how to prevent this? Because it is difficult to prevent.
It's a major challenge for law enforcement. This is the insidiousness of this type of attack, that an individual can basically utilize a vehicle as a terror weapon. It's almost impossible to target harden every place where people gather. It's virtually impossible. So what do you have to do? And I'm gonna have to tell you something, that when this suspect went up over the sidewalk, right? When they went up over the sidewalk, that at that point in this new world that we live in, maybe law enforcement is now going to have to shoot individuals who do this in order to protect other people. That's a scary, scary thought.
Yeah, and let's continue this conversation on the investigation, because a lot of this has moved very quickly. We got a lot of this information within 24 hours or less there. So in terms of this investigation, what questions do you still have?
Oh, there's a million questions that I have. This is all about his co-conspirators. His motivation at this point to me is pretty clear. Now it's how do we find the other people involved in this? Where does it go internationally? If there was, and I do believe that there was an international aspect to this. And let's bring these evil human beings to justice.
I did also want to pivot to this other story that we have been following. I'm going to pull up some image of it here right now. This Tesla Cybertruck that exploded outside of President-elect Donald Trump's hotel yesterday. Now,
What is going on here, y'all? Is an organization, is a brotherhood, is somebody trying to send us a message? These are two attacks. Luckily, no one was injured in this attack out there in Vegas. What is going on in America? If somebody has the answer, don't call me stupid. If you have the answer, don't be a loud mouth and a big mouth and take shots. If you have the answer, please explain it to me word for word. Please do that. If I'm such stupid, and if the American people are such dummies, and if you have all the answers, please explain to us what's going on, since we don't know. Can you do that? But this is a scary situation. And I don't care how tough some of y'all think y'all are. I don't care how much macho and how much Rambo you think you got in your blood. These situations is scary.
officials are saying they believe it was an isolated incident, but it is being investigated as a possible act of terrorism. Given your background, Lieutenant Sutton, from this law enforcement perspective, when you have these back-to-back instances happening within hours of each other on the same day, does that signal any alarm bells in terms of, do we need to start looking into whether these are tied together? What does that process look like behind the scenes?
Yeah, so there's no doubt in my mind that this is another intentional act. I do fully believe this was an act of terrorism. This vehicle was loaded with fireworks, Baker fireworks, gasoline, and gas canisters. This was a suicide bomb. They're not saying that yet, but and this has every indication of that. The fact that it was a Tesla being blown up in front of the Trump Hotel, that you don't have to be that creative in order to figure out what the symbolism is here.
Let's stay right there, y'all. Let's stay right there. A Tesla. We know who owns Tesla. Elon Musk. Blown up, set on fire outside a Trump building. Let's just look at it for a second. Is it Elon Musk that's trying to send a message to Trump? Is it somebody else trying to send a message to both Trump and Elon? What is going on? Maybe I just can't fathom. Maybe I can't understand what's going on. See, now, in the case with the Tulsa being set on fire out there in Vegas, I will say this much. At least whoever it was that did that, at least they didn't harm nobody. At least whatever message that they was trying to send, at least they knew not to take innocent lives. Okay? Now, when it comes to the coward in New Orleans that did this, exactly what was going through this coward's mind? The FBI seems to believe that he didn't act alone. They found a black ISIS flag in the back of the truck. Do it necessarily mean that it was a hit from ISIS? Do that necessarily mean that ISIS is behind it? I don't know. I can assume, but I don't know. Maybe the flag was just there. Maybe because allegedly they say that him and some of his friends was kicked out of an Airbnb. Maybe he just snapped right then and there. I don't know. But I do know that people, when they're frustrated, I do know that a small incident, for some people, it can turn into a bigger incident. You know, somebody might piss you off, and then you might take it out on those around you. So it doesn't necessarily mean that ISIS is behind this. However, we can't put nothing past nobody. But what would be ISIS beef for him to do that? Those were innocent partygoers celebrating the new year. You know, what motive? What would be behind that? See, when it comes to these suicide crimes, when it comes to these suicide missions, hey man, if that's your belief, if you're down for the cause, who am I to change your mind? However, go after those that you have that issue with. For surely, the civilians, and we all know that in street life. We all know in street life, you do not lay a hand, you do not lay a finger on a civilian. It was a time in the streets, if you caught your enemy and your enemy was with a civilian, you might catch your enemy at the grocery store with his mom. The fact that your enemy is with a civilian, you got to give that enemy of yours a pass. Why are they going after innocent civilians? Let me let you all know, for those suiciders, for those who are thinking about these suicide missions, let me let y'all know something. Going after, taking the lives of innocent Americans, that's not going to change the government's perspective on things. That's not going to make the government do things differently. That's not going to make any organization that you have a problem with. When you take the lives of innocent people, you are not hurting the government. Trust me. Those lives that was taken, those lives that were injured, the government, that's not going to affect the government at all. That's not going to affect Biden's administration. That's not going to affect Trump's administration. I do believe that the president of the United States of America, I do believe that they should be held accountable. However, some things is just out of their accountability range. Some things, even when it comes to the government, you can't blame the government on everything. You can't. Let me let this clip finish, y'all, and then I'm going to let y'all get out of here. I just wanted to speak to those that, is attempting or thinking about going on a suicide mission. Stop taking the lives of these innocent people. These innocent people do not deserve to die. They got family to take care of. They got families that's dependent on them. They don't deserve this. So if you're thinking about going on a suicide mission, go after those who you have the problem with. Going after innocent citizens, going after civilians is not going to affect the government. Trust me.
And then now it's be advised that those two vehicles that were utilized were rented by the same company, from the same company, a very obscure company out of Colorado. The suspect who was killed in the car bombing was from Colorado Springs, and I just read a report before we were coming on the air that they may have served in the same Army unit. So there's a lot to unpack here.
So it seems like it's some conspirators that was with him, okay? And that's what the FBI is focusing in on. Who helped him? They don't believe that this coward pulled it off alone. They said they have footage of 3 to 4 people with explosive devices. Now, we got to remember, they were celebrating the new year. So maybe those that had those explosive devices, maybe they were fireworks. I don't know.
Right, and one of the last things here, as you're touching on, there is concern that maybe there was some political motivation here. That's not confirmed, but they are saying that that is something to look into because it did happen in front of the Trump Tower. It was Tesla. We know that Elon Musk is working with President-elect Donald Trump. In terms of security, if you could speak to this, we are leading up to Inauguration Day. What does that security increase look like for President-elect Donald Trump?
There will never be as much security ever in a presidential inauguration as there will be here in this presidential inauguration. There will be massive amounts of security, and it will take a massive amount of manpower and technology to make this safe for him.
Let me just say this, y'all. Don't go to that inauguration. Don't go. Stay indoors, please. Please, y'all, stay home. Watch from your TV. Don't even go to your local bar. Just stay home. I mean, because some folks aren't happy at all that Trump is the president. And as we could see, most of these things is political motive. Just stay home, everybody. I got a little bit more of a clip, and then I'm going to let y'all get out of here.
on here, Dad. It is chaos and very, very scary.
Everything the car is hitting, it's getting thrown.
The vehicle ran toward a crowd of people. There's multiple injuries, multiple casualties. They need to canal the burden.
Just hours after the clock struck midnight, the driver in a pickup truck went around barricades, according to police, killing those celebrating New Year's Eve along the iconic street. At least.
So as you heard, as you see, even with barricades up, this fool went around those barricades, you know. So no matter, and I know people feel like the police should have done more. Like I said, it's only so much. It's only so much that law enforcement can do, y'all. It's only so much. If they got up barricades, they don't know. They can't see. They don't know what's on this guy's mind. They don't know that this guy is going to go around those barricades.
15 people were killed, dozens others injured.
This is not just an act of terrorism. This is evil.
The suspect, identified as Shamsuddin Jabbar, a 42-year-old man from Texas who previously served in the U.S. military. He was driving a privately rented pickup truck from Turo, an Airbnb-type rental site for cars.
An ISIS flag was located on the trailer hitch of the vehicle, and the FBI is working to determine the subject's potential associations and affiliations with terrorist organizations.
Once the vehicle stopped, the driver reportedly opened fire on responding police officers.
Law enforcement returned fire, and the subject was pronounced deceased at the scene. 2 law enforcement officers were injured and transported to local hospitals.
Witnesses are asking questions about why the city's steel mechanical barricades weren't up prior to the attack.
There was police there at the entrance, a lot of police there, but the metal barricades were not up.
Bollards were not up because they are near completion.
The FBI, which is...
So they're saying that the metal barricades wasn't up. They're saying that the metal barricades wasn't up.
Bollards were not up because they are near completion.
The FBI, which has taken over the investigation, does not believe the suspect acted alone.
We're aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates.
And the Sugar Bowl for college football, scheduled to be held in New Orleans this evening, has been postponed.
All agree that it's in the best interest of everybody and public safety that we postpone the game for 24 hours.
And we are starting to learn more about the now 15 who were killed as a result of this attack, including 37-year-old Reggie Hunter from Baton Rouge. He had just texted his family Happy New Year a little earlier in the evening, according to his cousin, who tells us that he was someone who liked to laugh and tell jokes. He loved his family, loved his kids. Leaves behind an 11-year-old and a 1-year-old just hours into 2025, Wolf.
Our deepest condolences to his family. Omar, thank you very much. I want to get right to our Chief Law Enforcement and Intelligence Analyst, John Miller. He's getting some new reporting for us. John, what are you learning?
Well, Wolf, what we've been trying to do is develop a richer picture of who is the man behind this carnage in New Orleans. What do we know about him, and what can that tell us about motive? And what we've learned from multiple sources is that Mr. Jabbar apparently made, according to authorities, a series of voice recordings on video as he drove, they believe, from Texas to Louisiana to partake in these attacks, allegedly.
So he drove from Texas. He drove from Texas to Louisiana. Wow.
The recordings talk about the turmoil in his family, the long-fought, bitter divorce he was going through. He discusses, according to officials briefed on the videos, where it appears they're made while he's driving, but it's in the dark, so you can't really see him on these videos.
So he chose to take the coward way out. What have you learned? What did the military teach you? I thought the military was all about teaching how to be a soldier. Well, in being a soldier, first law or the first instructions of a soldier is to be mentally strong. You cannot be a soldier if your mental is not strong. You have to be strong upstairs. Allegedly, he was going through family problems. Well, what American isn't going through some kind of family problems? And this is what I'm saying, man. And I need y'all to listen very, very careful. We all are going through problems. The poor is going through problems. Middle class, the rich, we all have problems. It doesn't give you the right to take nobody's life just because you can't handle your problems. I don't advocate for anyone to take anybody's lives, but if you're going to take somebody's life, take your own life. But that's not the answer. Taking your life and taking anybody else's life because you are having problems, that's not the answer. We all have our problems.
Recorded apparently on his phone, but he talks about the idea of getting his family together for a celebration, which would have been a ruse so that he could kill all of them, but that over time, after having a series of dreams about joining ISIS, that he changed his plan to carry out this attack in New Orleans to create mass casualties in the name of ISIS. So what we're starting to see is an individual who was experiencing turmoil and stressors in life, who was going to act out in some kind of violent way, and at least, according to what they believe are his own words, decided to do this as an alternative to killing his family.
And let me just say this, and then I'm going to let you all get out of here. Hope everybody had a happy new year coming in, and I hope everybody's 2025 will be prosperous and successful. Let me just say this, and then we're going to get out of here, you all. It has to be a better method. It has to be a better way to resolve your issues. Like I said, we all are going through problems. Financially, health, mental, physical, family. We all of us come with problems. All of us have problems. Don't think for 1 second that your neighbor doesn't have his or her share of problems. Don't think for 1 second the rich don't have their share of problems. Don't think for 1 second. And the most important thing that I need you to think on, don't think that taking innocent lives is going to change your issue that you have with the government. Don't think that taking innocent lives is going to change your issues that you have political. Hey, I'm not a big fan of the Democrat Party. I'm not a big fan of the Republicans. I'm not a big fan of Trump. I'm not a big fan of Biden. I'm not a big fan of any of the politicians. However, that don't give nobody the green light to harm, to try to take the lives of them. It just doesn't. That's not how you resolve this kind of issue. If you have a problem with presidents, first thing you could do is vote in the local elections. That's the first step. Also, get active in your community. That's the second step. It's ways that you can go about to solve the problems, believe it or not, that we are faced with. Get together and start an organization. Taking the lives of people, that's a no-no. That's a no-no. I appreciate everybody for pulling up. Salute. I will see y'all later on the main channel. at 7 p.m., I will have Andre the Advocate. Andre the Advocate will join me on my main channel. The main channel is Shank Rock. And he will take us on a fact-finding mission in the Shanquella Robinson case. So I look forward to seeing all of you on my main channel at 7 p.m. And make sure y'all go tell a friend to tell a friend that Andre the Advocate will be joining Shank Rock at 7 p.m. on his main channel. Salute everybody. I'll see y'all at 7 p.m.